Hey, mom babes and gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous women alike, y'all. Listen, my channel is just not for moms. It is for women, period, okay? But welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another video, y'all. If you guys follow me, you know that this week I decided not to put out my typical Wednesday vlogs and Friday weekly vlog. Instead, I decided to do like a story time for both Wednesday and Friday of this week. Why? Because y'all, I'm just like in a space of creating like authentically just like great content, just like content that is genuinely flowing from my heart at this moment. And so this week it was like, man, I got some story times for them this week, and so instead of doing the weekly vlogs, I just want to just drop some gems and or just share, you know, something that I've gone through or where I am in life. And so on Wednesday I dropped a very, very, very dope vlog, or not vlog, but story time. It was called Humans Are Weird, and I kind of explained why I thought so, and I'm just gonna give y'all a little TIE. So I am still getting acclimated to this whole YouTube thing, because when I was on radio and we put stuff on YouTube, we didn't put it on YouTube. We had somebody that did it for us, so they already knew all the rules and all of that type of stuff. But yeah, so I was talking about, I was giving context to what I was talking about. So I had put like a little clip in the YouTube video on Monday of the actual chat with Kevin Hart and J. Cole, which made me like reference it. And when I was talking, and when I tell you YouTube was like, it copyright infringement, that belongs to NBC Universal. And guess what I did? Before I even pressed published, y'all, because you know you got to go through these like little checks before you can actually publish it. So before I even pressed published, it said that, and I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and delete that, because what I did learn from YouTube Avenues is that if you have, I think they said at least 3 copyright infringement cases against you in your channel, it'll automatically be deleted. That means you got to start all over with subscribers, with watch hours, with the page, with the name, with everything. And I just ain't and none of that. I ain't with none of it. So I just went ahead and took out that whole clip, and y'all just got the context of the conversation. I should have like put a link that'll take you to that interview with Kevin Hart and J. Cole. I'm back. I'm back, y'all. So yeah, I did that, and I was like, wait a second, no way, I work too hard. Y'all know, if you are putting videos and stuff on YouTube, you already know how hard it is to get like watch hours and all of that stuff. So you don't want to do nothing that is not in alignment with their rules and their regulations, okay? But we are here, and it is today's story time. And I was like, man, God, just lay on my heart. Like, God laid so heavily on my heart what I was supposed to talk about on Wednesday, Humans Are Weird. But I'm just like, God, you know, lay on my heart this morning what I'm supposed to talk about in, you know, today's story time. It wasn't pre-planned, anything. It was just, I had some ideas of, you know, things that I've been thinking of that I wanted to talk about, and I just haven't. But I think I wanted to talk about knowing your worth, right? And when people talk about knowing your worth, I know that typically it's automatically perceived that they are referring to a relationship, right, with a spouse. But I'm not talking about in that sense today. I'm talking about knowing your worth and value in the workplace. And then I also want to kind of like throw in there how women unintentionally have this scarlet letter placed on them in certain atmospheres when they become pregnant. So pregnancy, as crazy as it sounds, pregnancy still in 2023 shifts how an employer looks at a woman. It's as if you were never qualified, or you're going to lose everything that you knew all because you're pregnant. First thing is knowing your value in the workplace. And of course, I'm always going to talk about myself, because I'm just always going to talk about myself, you know. Some will be able to relate, some won't, and then, I mean, it'll just be that. But I've been in the entertainment industry for well over a decade now, For those who do not know, most know my story, but for those who do not know, I started, first of all, I have a degree in criminal justice from Temple University. While in Philadelphia, I was interning at Federal Pretrial Services. I always thought that I was going to be a pretrial detention officer. I was going to be a probation officer. I was going to be a lawyer, whether it be a criminal defense attorney or entertainment lawyer. I just knew that I was going to do something when it came to criminal reform. So that's what I thought, at least. God has a huge sense of humor, and boy, did he laugh at me, because I realized while working for a private defense attorney in downtown Baltimore after 4 years that because when I graduated, I went back home. I realized that joke's on you, Kiara. That's what you thought you were going to do, but that's not it. And when they say, y'all, that pay attention to the interests of your children when they are young, I agree. You need to pay attention to the interests of your kids when they are young. 9 times out of 10, what they'll be or what, path they'll take has already been revealed to them and you at a young age. And life happens and we get kind of like thrown off, but you automatically know. When I was younger, y'all, I used to be obsessed with Ricky Lake, with Jenny Jones, with Montel Jordan, with Oprah, with Jerry Springer. Like, I used to be obsessed with talk show hosts. No lie, right? And then as I got older, right, I started to get into radio because I really wasn't truly into disc jockeys on radio, but when I got older, I started to be. And there was a radio personality in Baltimore who goes by the name of Kiki Brown. She's no longer there. I think Kiki actually moved to Pittsburgh. I don't even know if she's still on radio, but she was on one of our main FM stations, 92Q, Kiki Brown. And she used to be a midday host, and I fell in love with Kiki Brown. And then late at night, we had a host. Her name was LaDawn Black. And she had this sexy, deep, overnight voice. And I was just like, I thought I liked Kiki, but I actually am more like a LaDawn Black on my voice and blah, 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 right? So said all that to say, while I'm working for the private defense attorney in downtown Baltimore, one day we do an evaluation again, and this is a little backstory. For those who know my story, they already know this one. But I went for an evaluation with my boss at the time. Shout out to Derek G. And he's an attorney, and he was like, he told me a story of his wife, and then he was like, if you could sit down with anybody, if you could sit down and have a meeting with anybody right now to switch in a career field or just do what you're passionate about, who would you sit down and talk to? And I was like so taken aback, because that's the first time anybody ever cared enough to ask me, like, what do you really want to do? I know this is what you are doing because you're qualified for it, and but where's your passion? What do you genuinely want to do? And it made me think, right? So boom, I was like, man, I would sit down with Kiki Brown or LaDawn Black and 92Q. I would talk to them or whatever. So when I went back to him and told him that, he was like, so what's stopping you from reaching out to them and simply asking to take them out for lunch or coffee? And that was the first time, y'all, that I had somebody literally remind me of my power and my capability. And it was so crazy because I was working for him in a totally different career field, doing a great job, and he was like, but he noticed that my passion may have been somewhere else and not there, that I was just simply there to do a job, right? But instead of being selfish about the fact that he may want me to be there, he was okay with me playing around with, touring around with this newer thing, right? So boom, I'm not gonna take y'all on that whole journey. That's another story. But I ended up starting a blog, right? So I would work for Derek Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and literally Before I started work in the morning, I would get there a little bit early, drop Sanaya off at daycare, get to work a little bit early just so I can like enjoy my lunch, my breakfast, not have to rush through it. And I would look at blogs, right? So I would look at the time it was Nicole Bitchy, God please forgive me because I don't really like cursing, God. It was Nicole Itchy, who is now Nicole Kane. And I will also look at Perez Hilton. I will look at Boss Up. Like, I literally would read these blogs before I got started. That was way before the Shade Room even existed. I would start work 9 to 5, get off at 5, get Sanaya from her daycare, take her home, play with her, get her situated. Once I got Sanaya to bed, like 8:30, 9 o'clock, then I would like work for an additional hour or 2, maybe 3. And I know it was frowned upon in the beginning because I was barely getting like 3 to 4 hours of sleep. But I would work on my blog site and then wake up in the morning and start it all over again. I did that for such a long time. And then, ended up getting a job with DTLR, all of those sorts of things. DTLR radio, I was a midday host from 11 to 2, started off as a co-host, and then was promoted to host of the show once the host got a promotion to a street team manager. So it was just like blessing after blessing after blessing after blessing after blessing is what I'll say, just kept happening for me. And that's how I knew that I was doing what God had for me. Because I mean, when people say that it comes with so much ease, it came with so much ease. Like, I went from blogging to interviewing Chrisette Michelle with so many people in hotel rooms to covering events like 3-4 times a week. I'm driving from Baltimore to DC, to being on radio Monday through Friday, to like just traveling to different award shows, and like that stuff was just happening, building community and network. It was just happening. And so I was like, oh my God, this is God. This was the passion. This is what Derek was talking about. But then also what I'll say is that I quickly noticed that people did not see value in all of me, right? In this business, like it is in every other business, people pick and choose what parts of you that they want to accept, what parts that they want to embrace, what parts they want to work with, and expect you to adjust accordingly, right? Whether that be adjust to the atmosphere and or adjust to the pay, just adjust because they make it seem like you need them more than they need you. And I'm going to be honest, when you're first getting started, it is like a imbalance type of thing because you honestly do need them more than they need you, right? You need them to build a solid resume. And so I will say that earlier on in my career, I took a lot from a lot of different people and organizations because I felt like I did need them in order to get to where I felt like I wanted to be. But you hear what I'm saying? I. What I've learned now at 35 years old is that I made that road tough for myself because I was operating on my own strength and I was not operating in God's strength. Because see, God gave me that revelation, or he gave me the vision that this was something that I was going to do. He put the gift inside of me. I never went to school for broadcasting, journalism, any of those sorts of things. Yet I was nominated for Journalist of the Year in Atlanta, Georgia, in a whole nother state, Black Media Honors. I'm nominated for Journalist of the Year. Never went to school for journalism and broadcast. This is a gift that God has just like placed inside of me, right? And so if I had known that earlier on, I will be honest and say, if I'd known my value, I wouldn't have taken I would have taken a lot of things. And then I also say, because I was so young and naive when I first got into this industry, I'm talking about the entertainment industry, I allowed people to speak their fears and doubts on my life, and I began to believe them. right? I was told before that, and these are just many of things that I was told, and had I really digested these things, I wouldn't have excelled to the heights in which I did. But I was told that I couldn't be a host, like a club host, or I mean, granted, I'm not a club host, but I just didn't have the personality to get on a stage and host. Like, yes, I was good on radio and stuff, but they didn't have belief that I could host a crowd, right? And I heard that so much from this one station that I was with, that I began to internalize it and believe it. And so when I would get those opportunities from people reaching out to me to host events, I would turn them down because I felt like I couldn't do it because that's what I was told. When in actuality, that wasn't the case. In actuality, it was a whole, I can't even get into that, but it wasn't me, more so. But I began to internalize it, not thinking, if these organizations are reaching out to me to host these events, they see something in me. Merely from social media, they see something in me. Merely from an interaction at another event, they see something in me. You know what I'm saying? So that was me not knowing my value right there. I was told that in order to truly excel, I needed to dress different, right? I needed to be like what was the wave or the trend, and that is be more revealing. Kiara, you need to be more revealing and dress a little bit younger and da-da-da-da. No, my style is comfy, and when I go out, yes, I will be more of me. If I want to show a little skin when I go out, I'm going to show a little skin when I go out. If I want to be fully covered, I'm going to be fully covered. If I want to show up to whatever in a hoodie and some leggings and some sneakers like I got on right now, that is what I am going to do. But it made me in that moment, and again, y'all, these were two guys at this time telling me this, two of my superiors, and then, my God, y'all, it's just so many stories. But I was like, wow, I started to question myself, like, dang, how do I dress? And then not only did they say that to me, right, they then brought in two women who were the complete opposite of me and did everything that they were asking me to do. They were revealing. They talked about sex all over the radio and all of this type of stuff. And they thought it was going to be like a major biter. And guess what? I still outlasted those women with my show on their station. And so it was just like, man, that was a valuable lesson to me. It's like, don't change who you are because people don't see the value in you in that aspect. Even if it is a physical thing, show up authentically as yourself. Because guess what? There's so many people out there that also believes in the same things you believe in. I'm not about to get up here and wear revealing stuff every single day. I'm not about to get up here as a woman and just talk about sex and all that type of stuff all day. At the end of the day, I had just a daughter at that time. I have a daughter who looks up to me, who follows me, who is probably going to see some of my interviews or something later on in life. And do I want that to be the basis of what I was talking about? Like, do I want, when I am on a Grammys carpet or I am at the ESPYs or what, do I want somebody to have the coup for anything to say, I remember when you was on such and such and you was talking about XYZ? Now, that is no shade to anybody who decides to do that, but that wasn't something that I wasn't into. And so I was made to feel like I was of less value because that was something I didn't want to do. Is I had built so much relationship in certain circumstances that I was being invited to do the BET Awards. I was being invited to do so many different things, y'all. And I don't know if y'all can still see me because the sun is just sunning. Hey, God, I see you back there. Right there. I see you. Hope y'all can see me. That's God let me know. Like, I'm right here with you. Tell them your truth, Kiara. Tell them your truth. So, yeah. And then another thing, like, I was being invited to so many different things, right? And then I would tell these organizations, because it happened on more than one occasion, like, hey, I think it's so important if we go and we cover this and we do this and we do do that. And I mean, I had 2 different superiors, both men. You get the running thing. I had 2 superiors tell me that it just didn't make sense for them and their brand. Didn't make sense for them and their brand, and like so much. And they weren't paying for me, so I would fund my own stuff because I saw the value in me. Even if they didn't, I would fund my own travel and all of that just so I can go and cover the events and still bring the content back to those platforms. And how ironic that when I left both of these said platforms, they found value in going and covering these events. After I had already covered for their platforms, they already had their little squiggle room way in, and now you find value in going to cover these events, and now you're paying for people to go out there. Crazy, right? That is the world that we live in as women in these spaces sometimes. And it's not just corporate spaces, it's these entertainment spaces as well. Like, that is literally, y'all can see me now. This sun is just like sunny. That is like it's like so crazy. Or how about getting pregnant in the workspace, right? I got pregnant and I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to continue, because women work up until, whoa, that was just almost an accident. Women work up until they have the babies, like a week or so before they, like, man, some women work up to their due date. And how about being told, like, well, I don't know if you're going to be able to do it because you're pregnant or you having a baby. It's like, yet again, men not seeing the value. Said all of that to say, man, what I learned at this season of my life at 35 years old is that I can do what any other woman could do as a mom. I just have to see that in myself. A lot of times we don't get far because we start to believe the lies that we're being told in these different spaces, and it shows up in our behavior and our work ethic, everything, and they end up firing us because we prove them to be right. So it's so important for, regardless of what is being told to us on a daily basis in these workspaces, that we are adamant about going against the grain and proving, not to them but to ourselves, that we are who we say we are. I know I kind of went on a tangent. There was so much more I wanted to tell y'all, but that is the thing. Like, you gotta know your value, and if you don't see yourself in certain spaces, I would challenge you, if you can, to leave those atmospheres. Leave. If they don't see the value and you are merely forcing it, and you could go somewhere else and provide them with the same thing, and they see you, I would say leave. Don't force yourself to stay anywhere where you are tolerated and not celebrated, y'all. Don't force yourself to stay anywhere where you're tolerated and not celebrated. And you can go ahead and leave and still wish them the best. You can. It's okay. But they will respect you. Every body or organization that I have walked away from, because I can honestly say, by the grace of God, I have not ever been fired. Every situation in which I have left, I resigned. So no ill will, no ill intent. But every situation that I walked away, I still walked away with like crazy amount of respect from those same people who didn't see value in me at that time, at their organization. All right. So, I mean, I know I done kind of went on a 21-minute tangent, but y'all, literally see the value in you. You hold weight too. And make sure that the people around you in the workspace specifically know that. You not the 1, the 2, the 3, no, the 4. Don't play with me. All right. Peace.